everyone. My name is Mike LaCorte and I'm the host of Leaders Podcast. This podcast gives me the opportunity to speak to some of the most influential leaders in the investigation, intelligence, risk management and security space. Today I'm honoured to be joined by a good friend, Alex Bomberg. Alex, welcome to the show. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So before we kick off, just give us a real brief introduction of who you are, who you represent, and a bit about your background.
No problem. So I'm Alex Bomberg. I'm based between the UK and Dubai. I've been around in the industry since around about 2000, wearing various different hats. Come from sort of commercial intelligence background, and now we've got a whole group of companies, but we do training, intelligence, investigations, close protection, risk management, and recently started a new company selling tea. So nothing to do with the industry whatsoever.
Well, I'm definitely going to ask you a question about that. So how did you get into the industry first then, Alex? What was your journey, your initial routes?
Pretty much the same route as many other people that get into private security. So I was in the army, didn't really like it. I was working in the ski industry before I joined the army. And my brother was in the British ski team in the army, and I was keen to do the same thing, but ended up joining the wrong regiment for skiing, and did 6 years. Didn't particularly enjoy it all that much. It was good experience. Served in places like the Falkland Islands, obviously after the war, many years after the war. Kuwait, after the Gulf War, Bosnia. Served in a few places all over Europe and Cyprus, and left the army in '97. And actually, my first love, believe it or not, was restaurants and food. So I wanted to do some of that. Didn't work out. Didn't enjoy it. So fell into private security, like a lot of people. Just fall into it, and and went from there really. And met a few really good people early on, and helped me shape what I wanted to do. I always knew I was going to work for myself, Mike. When I'm certainly one of those people who I'm not good at being managed by other people. So and I think I've got a lot of vision as well. I've got a lot of vision. Been in the industry a long time. I've seen the ups and downs of the industry and the difficult times, and I think we're in a difficult time now. Although there's opportunity, obviously, with a lot of downturns, there's also the downturn to deal with. So if you've been around a long time, you know that, right? That's a good thing about being around a long time. Yeah.
So when you say private security, what do you mean? Is it like close protection work or executive protection? Give me an understanding of what.
Yeah. So I was in so early on. I got into, actually, it's more corporate intelligence than I was doing. Man guarding early on. Mm-hmm. Close protection. Yeah. You could call it close protection. It was literally like, doors and halls, as they call it, literally doing all the basic CP work. Yeah. And then I built my way up, but was doing sort of a bit of both. I was going through bins. So I was doing a lot of intelligence work, pattern of life studies, surveillance, and I got into technical surveillance, which culminated in me getting arrested for telephone tapping in 1996.
When was that?
2006. So I got arrested in the UK for it. Nothing to do with any newspapers or anything like that. It was corporate stuff. But that sort of made me realise, you can go one way or another in this, in intelligence. You can go down the dark route, or you can, not. And I decided, even though I was getting paid a lot of money for doing naughty stuff, I decided to, concentrate on teaching people counter-espionage, counter-intelligence on the commercial side of things. We were up to all sorts of things in the early 2000s, but, I'm glad not to be doing that stuff and not to be involved in that stuff. I'm glad to be working on the other side of it and, advising companies and private individuals how to keep themselves safe.
That's key. Yeah, well, especially if you're on both sides of the fence, right? You know where the vulnerabilities are. And your group, you're chairman of Intelligent Holdings. You expanded. Give me what sort of areas you cover. Alex? Because I know you've expanded internationally, right?
Yeah, so we're international. So I started with a company, starting a company called International Intelligence Limited in 2002. So that's pretty old now. And that company grew into a group structure that is Intelligent UK Holdings. And yeah, we're registered in France. We've got a company in Dubai, got a couple of other offshore entities as well. And yeah, we pretty much cover the globe. So on sort of close protection and intelligence side of things, we've worked all over the world. Some, strange places like Exuma in the Bahamas, all the way to Uzbekistan. We've done a lot of work, in Russia, Poland, everywhere you can think, really. In fact, most places, so 80% of our work is not in the UK.
Right, okay.
And only sort of 5% of our work is in the States. So a lot of stuff in South America, Bahamas, Africa.
Where would you say would be the most challenging jurisdiction to deal with and to operate?
Well, we were one of the first companies into Iraq. So that was very difficult early on. That was incredibly difficult. I was a lot younger then as well. So lots of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Was employing good people, employing ex-regiment people to do the work on the ground. But that was difficult. But also places like Uzbekistan, where any sort of surveillance is illegal.
Yeah.
So, and also places like Mexico, where anything can happen. It doesn't matter how experienced the operative is. And, people are pretty much out on their own, when they're working on the ground. So, you can give people all the support you want, but the guys are on the ground making decisions, right? That's the reality. So I think, it's everywhere's dangerous. I mean, Paris during the Euros a couple of years ago, guys doing close protection for the commentators and the talent that was presenting on at the football, and it all kicked off outside the stadium, and all the best plans went out the window, and it was left down to the guys on the ground to make the decisions.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
And how do you select your staff then, Alex? What are you looking for when you're employing guys on the ground, and where do you find these guys from?
So I actually don't deal with that anymore. Christian Hill, right. The managing director, deals with that now. But predominantly, we're not interested in knuckle draggers, whether it's for intelligence work or surveillance or close protection. We want guys who can really, really think on the feet. Mm-hmm. We want guys who can make decisions, who are literate, who are intelligent. That's that, and it's a lot of people who leave the forces and the police, they really don't have the skills. They don't have the skill set, to work sometimes solo, a lot solo, or in really small teams, and to fit in. And so it's really, really difficult. So a CV is probably only 40% of it, a good CV. We want people, we want to work with people who are tried and tested, who have been out and done things. I always use a bit of an analogy. I'm happy for somebody to knock a nail in with a saucepan if it works. Right. Because it's about what works. It's not necessarily about what's right. It's about what works on the ground, isn't it? I'm sure yourself from all your years of experience. Yeah. You can have great plans, but as a director of a company, you're not on the ground. It's not you making the decisions. You've got to employ decent people. Yeah.
And this is the other thing, and we talk about this all the time, is sourcing the pool of talent. Where are your? I mean, I bet you must get inundated with CVs like we do. But where do you actually go out and source and recruit for the specific role, or
no?
Sometimes
we do. Yeah, right. Sometimes we do, but very often it's recommendation. People on recommendation, and because we are busy. I mean, we're not all that busy at the moment because it's quite quiet, but we are genuinely pretty busy, and we have such a massive spread of operations. So anything from we do a lot of stuff in France, but we do a lot of stuff across the whole of Europe, and you end up finding guys who are like multilingual, who speak 4 or 5 languages, who've got forces background, who are absolutely exceptional. I mean, I've come across probably 10 we've got 10 top operatives who are absolutely amazing, and they step up into management very, very easily. So I mean, it's different. One thing I would like to sort of get across to your audience is that it's very different being an operative to running a company. You know, I was not the best surveillance operative. I was not the best close protection operative. I'm a businessman at heart, and that came through for me. So people have different talents that do come through, and you do spot that in the field. So it's keeping an eye on people and checking in with people and managing them properly on the ground, which is what Christian Hill's really, really good at. Christian's been with us for like 4 or 5 years now, and you know he's I think 5 years actually. He's exceptional. He's an exceptional managing director. He really, really is.
You need that. So in the intelligence and investigation world, where we're predominantly from, we have this private-public synergy conversation. How law enforcement see the private sector. Do we work together? How do we work together? And each different jurisdiction has its relationship, let's say. Is that the same in the security world? Do you let's say you've got high-profile principals and you'll go into a jurisdiction. Would you alert law enforcement of your activity? Do you work together if there's a external threat that may require support? How do you tackle that, and how is your relationship with the public sector services?
So we do work with the police. We've done a few government contracts. We've had a UK government contract. So that was a big high threat there, Islamist threat at the time. So that included a lot of contact with the police. We've also did the security for the Commonwealth Games for the Department of Trade and Industry. So we ran their hub for the whole of the Commonwealth Games in 2022, and we ran the security for the conference there, and we did the risk assessing for the whole package for them. So we've got quite a bit of experience of doing that. We've also been involved in a lot of counter-terrorism exercises at football clubs and things like that. So as an official observer, so I'm quite lucky. So I personally had a lot of expertise in that, as is Christian, and a couple of the contractors we regularly use at senior level, they do as well. One of them is ex-police. So it is difficult though when you go abroad. It's very difficult. In some countries you really don't do that because you don't want to draw attention. But in some countries you've really got to screw them up, and you've got to let them know that you're there and stuff like that. And always, I always like to work with other security professionals. So if we're visiting a football stadium, we'll always make sure that the security manager of the stadium knows what we're doing with our VIP and where we are. And same with concert halls and stuff like that. Taking people into see a concert or something like that. So we always try and do that. Always try and liaise. I find certainly with other security professionals, they're more than happy to give you their time. They're more than happy to let you know tips and what we go. Sometimes if you go to something like a concert in Dublin or a concert in Berlin, you're not necessarily going to know which roads close, best place to pick up, best place to drop off, any VIP points. Sometimes VIPs aren't even official VIPs, so it gets very difficult. So the communication between us and venues and venue security leads is quite important. That's an important thing.
Yeah, no, completely. It's just trying to find the relationship. Sometimes, like you say, the door's open and you can liaise with the local authorities, and it's pretty straightforward. And other times, there isn't that common ground. Are you guys doing anything for the World Cup? Talk to me about some of your up and coming.
Yes, we're doing a bit of stuff across mostly sort of South America, some stuff in Canada, and obviously America. Christian is dealing with that. So we're doing a couple of bits and pieces with some sponsors and stuff like that. But mostly it's people that are going out there that want risk assessments done. Few companies that we normally work with have come to us and said, look, we're taking over a couple of groups of people. What do you think? Of course, what's going on now in the Middle East, if it drags on, will definitely affect that. So it could do anyway. I mean, it has heightened the risk of terrorist events, terrorist incidents happening. So,
well, now I've got you on. I wanted to ask you about your opinion in the Middle East. Where do you see that heading? I know you do quite a lot of work out there. You've got offices out there. What do you see the current risks on the ground are, and where do you see that heading for your industry, really?
That's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. I think it's demonstrated that Iran can strike across the Middle East, and that they're happy to hit their neighbours. I have noticed that some of the strikes have been quite tactical and have been more of a scare strike than a, if you're going to hit a hotel, you don't hit the reception, you hit halfway at the hotel or whatever. Yeah, same with an airport. They don't seem to be hitting. They've hit some airports and they don't seem to have hit proper infrastructure, if you like. So I think they're more sort of warning shots than anything else. I think it's a bit more of an escalation now. We've seen some shipping hit and oil refineries hit. So it's a little bit different there. They're starting to hit more critical national infrastructure. I think going forward, how will it change things? It depends what the new regime in Iran's like, to be honest with you. I think we could see another 20 years of serious terrorism. Really stepping up the game. And when you see things like that school that got hit, that just breeds martyrs. Let's be honest. That's the trouble. So, we're only one major incident away from that. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, I love Dubai. I think Dubai is very resilient. The whole of the UAE is very resilient, and they will get it right going forward. They'll look at this afterwards, and they will create an Iron Dome like Israel has maybe. Dubai doesn't want problems. Dubai is it's the new Hong Kong. It's an amazing place to do business.
Yeah.
There's a couple of sides to Dubai which you either buy into or you don't buy into. But I don't go there for a holiday. I go there to work. And I think it's an amazing place to work, and they will get it right. Dubai government is so forward thinking. The whole of the UAE is massively forward thinking. So whatever they've got to do to make things right, they will do that.
Has this provided opportunities for you guys over there, or has it provided some roadblocks and some issues with the work that you're doing?
I think certainly on the risk management side, it's provided a lot of opportunities, because a lot of companies that were in Dubai, law firms, energy companies who have got staff there, they're now going, oh, we don't actually have an evacuation plan for Dubai. Saying that they might not have one for London, right? Or an evacuation plan. So it's made people think a lot. It's made a lot of companies think, actually, what have we got to do duty of care wise and stuff, enable us to continue operating as a business. And, you're not just talking about somebody traveling into Dubai every day, talking about families, we're talking about families there. People's whole sort of family infrastructures there, isn't it, as well? Support structure, so schools and everything else. It's not just about up and leaving. It's a difficult thing for people. So I think going forward, there'll be a lot more risk assessing for Dubai, a lot more.
Do you think the sort of safety in there's been challenged a little bit with the rhetoric going around in how can this happen here in this the safest place in the world?
It's next to Iran. It's not, it's not. It's anyone that's going into the argument with that is a bit silly. They don't know the region. They don't know the history of the region. It's the same with North Africa. It's the same with anywhere like that. It's close. It's right next to, one of the worst countries in the world for terrorism. We go to Iraq, and most of Iraq now is run underground by the Iranians. They've got influence everywhere, and probably including in a lot of these countries that they're hitting. But they've certainly owned properties around the world, a lot of Iranians. So, and not all Iranians bad, let's face it. We're dealing with a regime. So will there be going forward, have they been caught with their trousers down? I think that's a difficult one to say. It's a very difficult question there, Mike. I really don't know. I think people were I think maybe people were naive if they thought that it couldn't happen there. But then you've got to look at like places like New York. If America's ever going to get hit by a dirty bomb or something like, it's going to be in New York, right, or Washington. So you could look at those two places and say, well, are people naive having officers there and staff there and not having a plan for major evacuation? So, it's in a region which has its problems. That's for sure.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I'm going to ask this, and difficult to answer again. But how do you see this panning out and finishing, or how do you see the next sort of few months going? Because people like you, with your experience, your expertise, it's nice to have that sort of input and insight.
I would think America wants to get this done quickly, because it's, I'm not a military mind for sure. I'm not a military mind. I'm the last person to ask about military stuff, but I'd imagine he would want to get this over and done with really quickly, because spiking oil prices is not good for anybody, and it's going to take, even if it's ended tomorrow, it's going to take a couple of months before this is gone away, economically. And I would have thought, from a business point of view for us, we want to be back in Dubai. We want to be back at what we're normally doing in Dubai and working with the people that we're normally working with. At the moment, a lot of the companies we've worked with, say, have got out or sent their staff home. So it's not business as usual at the moment in Dubai, but it needs to get back that way pretty soon. It's not just Dubai; it's all the other places in the Middle East suffering, being drawn into this. So I think they want a quick conclusion, personally.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Right, challenges then. Young guys coming into the industry that want to join and develop careers in protection work, security work, intelligence work. The industry's changed, right? I've been in this nearly 30 years and I've seen a huge shift. What type of advice and guidance would you give the young guys coming in? And what would you let them look for?
I think,
what would be your professional?
I think learn another language. So especially British guys. I think, Brits, Americans, learn another language. Learn Spanish, learn French, learn Portuguese. Learn a language which is going to help you going forward. Not so much Arabic, but Arabic's still a good language to learn. Learn more about geography. I left school with no qualifications, Mike. Nothing. Left school with absolutely nothing. Got expelled from school. Was a really bad student. Didn't really properly learn the alphabet for years. Probably till I joined the army. So I knew the phonetic alphabet better than I knew the alphabet, because it's drilled into you. But so try and educate yourself. Learn about culture. If you close protection is not difficult. It isn't difficult. It is all about the soft skills. It's all about learning about risk management, where you fit into the game at your level. Trying to learn a bit more about the industry. Join a federation or an association or an institute. Try and do courses through those. If they're any good association or institute will have courses, or will be able to put you onto courses. Mentoring programs. There are mentoring programs out there. Or if there's not, speak to somebody and say, look, can I have 5 minutes of your time? Can I have 5 minutes of your time? Can you help me out? I've helped loads of people over the years. Loads of people leaving the army and the police. Because the way I see it as well, is, you know what it's like. You've been around a long time, so have I. A 5-minute conversation with somebody can save somebody from doing the wrong course, can save somebody from completely going down the wrong route. And I certainly think the coast protection industry is swamped, absolutely swamped, and a lot of people are in it, and they're like, oh, why can't I earn £350 a day? £450, £550 a day. And it's like, well, I don't understand why people think they can do this when it's a level 3 qualification. And what else are they doing? People need to better themselves. I think if I was looking at somebody leaving the forces now, I would either say become a plumber or electrician, or do security risk management and properly throw yourself into it. Properly try and understand security risk management, because security risk management, and you can get you can slide off into doing risk assessments and threat assessments. There's a lot of stuff. You go down the intelligence route. You can start going down threat assessment route and stuff like that, and the travel security route, doing reports for that. And I talk a lot about AI right now as well. So I think people need to understand the limitations and the threats with AI. So as a young person, I would try, and if I had my time, I would be looking at doing, trying to get and understand artificial intelligence and maybe its role within security and intelligence. So networking, of course, going to events, speaking to people. Amount of people I go when I see it, I go to a lot of events like you. I know that you go to hundreds of events a year. I don't go to hundreds, but I go to select for a few internationally. And the amount of people I see that go to the events and they're just sat in the corner and they're not speaking to people, not getting out, not even speaking to other operatives, store holders, people. You be around in the industry a long time, you will know that you absolutely need those contacts.
Some good advice.
You do. You need extra boots on the ground. You need advice. You need people for a job. It matters to get around. You're only as good as your little black book, as they used to say, right? That's true. Or your Rolodex going back a long time. Your Filofax. You've got to have the contacts. You've got to be in WhatsApp groups. There's a lot of those around, because most, as Mike, a lot of the work comes overnight, or it comes in like people want to fill stuff really quickly. They don't want to mess around. So you've got to be available as well.
Some good advice right there. What associations would you recommend in the security world then for guys to either join, or institutes, or to look up? And we can put them on the screen.
I think from my side of it, the Security Institute in the UK, the Institute of Strategic Risk Management, which I'm a fellow of. I think that's run by David Rubins, and that's a hell of an institute. That has got some, that's got some big hitters. A lot of events, a lot of networking, a lot of stuff online, a lot of free stuff. And if you're a young person, you really want to sort of get into risk management, or even just security, it's such a great network there as well. So I think there's a lot of the stuff that you're involved with as well. Is it British Association of Investigators?
Association of British Investigators.
Yeah. That's another good one. So I think there's a few out there now. Like the ISRM though, I go to a lot of their events in Dublin. And there's some great guys in Dublin doing a lot of really good work. And we've got Paul Kellett and Gary Bergen in Dublin, who run the Dublin chapter there, and they're doing an amazing job. They have a lot of really good events. We've started doing some events here in the University of Gloucestershire, which is 20 miles away from, probably 15 miles away from me, and I do some lecturing there for the students on their international business course, which is good. So I think being part of an institute is about giving back, but it's also, like, for me, people our age, it's about giving back. But young people, they need to become members, and Yeah, get out there, get some of these events, start meeting people, start learning.
Last question before we sign off. Tea. Tell me about tea. Why did you diversify from intelligence, risk management, and security to tea?
Well, I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur, but I'm a tea lover, man. I'm a tea lover at heart. And, you know, I was buying some really expensive tea from a company in America. And I sort of reverse engineered where this guy was buying his tea from and then worked out how much
There's
money
the intelligence side of you then, right?
I thought,
yeah.
Well, yeah, I did some proper like investigations on his supply chain. And I thought, I really, you know, I'm interested in doing stuff as well, which is like more about mindfulness. There's a lot of stress in the security and risk industry. There's a lot of stress. A lot of people, you know, you're traveling, you know, and when you're traveling, I stay in a lot of good hotels, which is lovely, but isn't it nice to have a nice cup of tea? It's nice to be able to, even if you're at home and you've had a really long day, you know, in the afternoon, get the teapot out and make a nice pot of tea. That's a nice thing to do. So I thought, yeah, why not make a business out of it? So it's a bit of a side hustle, if you like. But you know, I'm now at the stage where I've got like 60 teas, and I've probably got 5 tons of tea. So it's a lot of tea.
Brilliant. Well, what's your tea bag? What's the tea company called, and what's the website? And we'll put it up on the screen and give you a plug.
Okay, that's fine. It's Great Tea Limited. So it's www.great-tea.co.uk. It's a favourite tea. It's a favourite tea of the operative.
Alex, it's been a pleasure discussing your journey. Thank you for your professional insight. Alex's details are coming up on the screen now. You've been listening to another episode of Leaders Podcast. Thank you.